Okay guys, got her out on the ground, but there seems to be some fairly liberal play on the input shaft. Okay guys, I repositioned you a little bit better angle with a little bit more light. Just see what happens. This, I'm hoping this thing comes right out of here. It may not. I haven't even looked at the videos close enough. But the biggest area that people were concerned about was with this input shaft bearing assembly as being the most likely cause based on the sounds that I was reporting. So I was going to see how difficult it was. Hold on just a second so we don't waste time. Okay guys, a few little taps with the dead blow and she pretty much popped loose. So yeah, she had her fair share of black silicone sealer on there. Now, if anybody out there is more of an expert than me, tell me, is this a normal amount of play on this? I mean, all the bearings are still in it. I don't see any, maybe a little something right there, but I don't know if that means anything or not. A little bit of a groove right here on that shiny spot. Wow, that's kind of cool. Doesn't look like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Huh. I don't know. There's some kind of a synchronizer, probably for that front bearing. Try not to lose all these roller bearings. I think, from memory, there's like 15 or 16 of them or something set inside of there. I don't know. I don't see any, like this bearing right here is not smoked or doing anything crazy. I mean, these are pretty shiny. Like the teeth, if you think of a ring and pinion, you don't want to see a whole lot of shiny and a whole lot of thinning of the gears. I mean, that thing is pretty shiny. I'm sure it's got plenty of miles on it. But this 26 spline input shaft, I don't think is injured. No, here's our, what do you call these, like the Timken roller bearing. Doesn't seem to be damaged or messed up. I don't know. First stage of the autopsy doesn't look all that concerning to me. Let's see what else we can find. Okay guys, I got her draining the rest of the way out, setting on its end. I picked up those little roller bearings that fell out of the center of the input shaft. I found 15, so if there's supposed to be more than 15, somebody reply in the comments and I'll keep looking. Because I know I'm surely it had all the right amount in there when it was put together. I'm not worried about that, but if I somehow missed one, then it should be either laying right there at the end of my garage, or if it fell in the case, then it would be in the case and should be caught in my catch basin. So I'm going to try to let this thing drip dry or get some of the crap out of it. Then we'll continue with the disassembly process. Stay tuned. Okay guys, while I was waiting for it to drain the rest of its juices, I went ahead and got a little punch and drove out the roll pin that holds the shift mechanism to the shift rod. I did that off camera so it saves face for me. But I got the pin all the way down to the bottom where it popped out. We'll pull right up off that shaft, but you gotta be ready to grab the spring and everything underneath there. So hold on. Guys, a little bit impatient, so I went around the tail shaft housing to case bolts. These are 15 millimeter, just in case anybody was following along, one thing I've noticed right off the bat, like I haven't loosened the tail shaft to the case yet at all. But watch this. Without that front support in there, that back end's not very happy. You know, I don't know if that's a direct, does this get held centered in its bore by the insertion of the input shaft and that assembly? Because that sounds highly unlikely, since they're kind of a slip together union to begin with. So I think the fact that this shaft is sitting all the way to this side of this bore could be the first indicator. Never rebuilt a manual transmission in my life, but that seems like that could definitely be an issue. So I'm gonna pull these bolts out, probably might run to the store real quick, let this thing drain for a little bit longer, and we'll separate those halves and see what kind of pieces we can find. I'm gonna go ahead and try to crack the tail housing loose from the main case. Try to get a little bit of separation footage before my battery runs dead. And then we'll have to take a slight intermission, do a little battery charging. Well, make sure we ain't breaking nothing here. I ain't an expert. Don't play one on TV. For some reason that little shifter mechanism on the shifter shaft is not wanting to come right out, so we will investigate. Managed to get that little shift box or shifter locator piece off of there. Then I noticed at some point in time, somebody has hit the very end of that shaft right on the edge with a hammer or something. So that's why that little piece kind of got stuck on there and didn't want to come off. So, well, we see who won that battle. Hold on just a sec. See if we can get this thing to come apart. Separated everything. Got the shifter. Let's move this up on the counter before we lose something. Knowing me, I'll kick it and it'll be out in the grass, and that'll be fun. No pieces fell out. That's a good sign. Wanted to look inside the end of the case where this shaft lives, and I was just trying to figure out if there was any problems with the intersection of any of these locators. I don't see any damage to the tail housing. Very much tempted to switch over to the Ford Mustang tail shaft assembly, basically to straighten out that transmission mount issue I have, and to make it way more affordable to buy a real shifter for it. I don't know what to think yet. We're learning. I don't see any huge pieces or parts yet, which I guess is promising. Hold that thought. Okay guys, it's nighttime. The top cover, you have to just take all the bolts out of it to hold it to the case, and then it has to move to the side. Like there's a little lug that sticks out on the same side. Sorry about that, I'm losing track of what I'm doing. There's a lug that sticks out on this side of that top cover, same as this little reversed Allen head deal. You have to get underneath each corner, because if you look, alternate corners, this side and this side, there's little cutouts for you to put like a screwdriver or a wedge in between there. you have to get that top cover completely separated from the case, because it has to slide away from your reverse. Just use this as your reference point. There's a Torx head bolt right here. You got to slide away from it to get your top cover off, so you can get your shift forks safely released from the clusters. So at this point, I'm still not sure what was making that loud noise. I mean, you know, I don't see any large pieces or obvious damage, so it's got to be in some kind of a bearing situation. But I wanted to follow up where I'm, you know, get over here where you guys can see a little bit better. Getting ready to pull off that 5th gear deal on the end of the shaft by driving that pin out. I'll get that whole assembly pulled off, and we'll see what else we can find. Okay, just got the pin drove out so I could take that, I guess that's like reverse and 5th gear or whatever that thing is. Take that thing off. Man, that thing was tough to get out. It wasn't no punk. I just used a deep well impact socket underneath the bottom of it, just like the disassembly video on YouTube. But it still took a small sledgehammer and a bunch of pounding. Finally got that stupid roll pin to pop out. Just took a little moment to look at the front bearing race. It's got some I would say some scratches in it that probably shouldn't be there. But it's not smoked or damaged like you think it would be with the amount of noise it was making. So I just wanted to add that in. That is the front, it's the input shaft race for that front bearing. I don't know, still looking. Okay, attempt number 4. To take the 5th gear cluster, I guess you'd call it, off the back. You've got a large snap ring right here. I ran to Harbor Freight, grabbed one of their like $6 snap ring plier sets. Those little red handled snap ring pliers are so small that even when you get into the snap ring and try to open it, it won't open it far enough to clear the shaft. So I went and got enough. See, Harbor Freight started carrying these. I think they were like Quinn brand or something. But it's a different style, much larger size snap ring pliers. They're supposed to work on internal and external snap rings. So let's just see if this is going to open this thing far enough to get it off. Ooh, she's a bit tight, boys and girls. Try again. Because, I mean, I'm fighting. This is a fairly beefy snap ring here. Let me see if we can get it to participate. I'm putting some pretty good force on it. I'm getting close. Clearly you can see it's not nearly as easy as you would think, because it is definitely not easy. This little snap ring is no joke. It's not playing. See it right there. That's literally as far open as it'll go. But you can't get it to come up over the counter shaft. Let's do some bunking.